All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in today for another AMA here on the Polygon Discord. Today, we are speaking with a really exciting project building on Polygon called SynFutures. Um, I'll let Markle explain what SynFutures does. He is the, I want to say CM. Sorry, what? I'll let you explain your role too. How's it going today, Mark? Thanks for being here.
Good, good, good. Yeah, so I'll just give a quick introduction of myself. So I'm Mark, and I'm the CMO at SynFutures, which just means I oversee everything from, growth, user acquisition to community. So if there's any suggestions on the product side, on the community side, I'm your go-to person. So just to give you guys a little background on what SynFutures is, we're a decentralized derivatives exchange that lets you trade dated futures and perpetuals fully on chain and on the Polygon network. Um, I think it's important to note that ultimately we want to be where all of our users are, but Polygon is by far our most active network. We love the Polygon community, the team there, the users. And so I think, over the last few months, we've really doubled down on the Polygon community. And yeah, I'm excited to say we're one of the most active derivatives exchanges on Polygon. Users can use it to long and short different kind of assets, any kind of asset really, because we're a completely permissionless platform, and you can click and trade assets in a matter of seconds, but also provide liquidity to different, pools. You can get your own tokens listed with the click of a button, much like, what Uniswap V3 enables for the spot market.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful innovation that's going to make like a significant impact in DeFi. It's a really much needed thing, especially when you look at the implosion of centralized exchanges like FTX. Um, I'm curious, could you tell us a bit more about what SynFutures journey has been like on Polygon so far?
Yeah, for sure. So I think initially, when we launched V1 of SynFutures, it was about 15 months ago, October 2021, which feels like a decade ago. But initially we launched on Ethereum mainnet, but the challenge with Ethereum is, it's very hard to scale a DEX on a platform like Ethereum because of the gas fees. It's not terribly efficient. I mean, I think there's a strong use case for the Ethereum core mainnet, but I think for DEXs, we needed a more reliable and more scalable kind of scaling solution. So one of the first networks we looked to within the EVM space was Polygon. So pretty soon after we launched on Ethereum, we followed through with the Polygon launch, and we've been building on with the Polygon team ever since. Like I mentioned, so we've become one of the most active dexes on Polygon. We're doing about, over $1 billion worth of trades per month. And we're seeing just a lot of excitement in this community, in the Polygon community. So, we're also exploring. Polygon has some really exciting ZK products coming up that we're exploring to see how we can leverage to further scale the product. Uh, but I think right now, what we're really excited about is not only is our product gaining more and more traction with users within Polygon, but Polygon, you guys have been doing a great job at kind of expanding the overall crypto ecosystem and NFT ecosystem to bring in a lot of new mainstream users. And so I think it's been a great partnership so far. We've obviously worked very close with you guys as a team, and we look forward to kind of expanding within the Polygon ecosystem. I mean, we're so excited about Polygon that for our V2, which is in closed alpha right now on mainnet, uh, we're kind of exclusively doing this rollout on Polygon first, right? Because we wanted to make sure that our most active network and our most active community gets first access to like our newest, and our newest and most innovative products.
Yeah, most definitely. And while you're on that subject, I'm going to drop the link to the early access registration for NFT futures or NF futures. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right. It's in the chat though. If anyone wants to check that out. And yeah, man, the feeling's really mutual. I think Polygon and SynFutures are both really innovative, leading the charge in terms of tech. I'm curious. You were talking about some of the problems you guys are solving, um, like the permissionless ability to like create derivatives products with any token. And you were comparing it to Uniswap V2 and V3. I'm curious if you could just like I don't know, I guess elaborate more about how all of that works and everything that SynFutures is doing.
Yeah, sure. So I think, with decentralized exchanges, one of the core selling points is that it should be not only transparent and open, but also completely permissionless. What this means to us is we should let free markets kind of dictate what gets traded, when it gets traded, and how much liquidity the market has, right, for each asset. The best way to do this is create a truly permissionless product that lets anyone list and trade any asset on the given network. So using Polygon as an example, if you're connected to Polygon SynFutures and connected to the Polygon network, you should theoretically be able to trade any token that's supported within the Polygon network, right? As long as we have a reliable price feed, we use oracles from SushiSwap, Chainlink, etc. As long as we have a reliable price feed for an asset, for a token, we can get that listed, and it's not up to us to decide what gets listed, right? So the we use Uniswap as a comparison and as inspiration because they really set the standard for what a decentralized exchange should be, right? It means as a liquidity provider, as a market maker, if you feel like there's a new token or there's a trending token that you think users want to trade, you can come provide the liquidity and create a futures market, a derivatives market right from our platform within a matter of seconds. I'd say within 30 seconds, you can get that token pair listed up and trading. This is important because, I think in TradFi especially, but also even in centralized crypto, you really have to wait for centralized teams to make a decision on what assets they list. It's a very convoluted, it's a very opaque process. And I think with the future of finance, the future of DeFi, being that it should be open and accessible to anyone, should be completely permissionless in the sense that let's let the community decide what gets traded, right? So there's no team intervention required. A lot of projects often ask us, "Oh, how do we get our pair listed for trading on SynFutures?" And we say, "You don't need to go through us, right? If you guys want to see it listed, or any of your partners want to see it listed, all they have to do is go on the site, provide the initial liquidity, and the pair can be up in less than 30 seconds." And I think this creates a much more robust and kind of trading ecosystem, and it's really reflected in our product. If we look at some of our competitors in the space, they may have like 30 pairs listed today, 35, 40 pairs. Our community on SynFutures has listed more than 200 token pairs to date. And so there's clearly a demand for some of these like longer tail tokens, especially in the derivative space. So it's something that, we want to enable essentially this like free market and a marketplace where anyone can come and list and trade anything they want. And that actually extends on to N futures, which is our NFT futures trading product, right? And I can get into that in a bit more detail later. But the idea here is it's not just about a specific token that we can support. It's about any asset with a price feed, real world asset, crypto asset, even NFTs. We can create derivatives markets for.
And can people get involved in a similar way to Uniswap V2? Because I know a popular usage for a lot of people is to supply liquidity. Is that something that's
Oh, of
incentivized
course.
on SynFutures too? Yeah, that's very cool. And how
Yeah,
does
yeah.
can people make like how does that all work? Is that the yield would come from the trading fees generated, and are there risks associated? Like, are you the counterparty risk for the traders? How does that all work?
Yeah, so it's fully AMM based. it is very similar to Uniswap v3. A user provides liquidity into a pool. I mean, there are inherent risks with providing liquidity, right? Especially in an AMM, which is like the risk of impermanent loss. That said, retail traders have come onto our platform, provided liquidity to different pairs, and while we can't guarantee a yield, I think, you look at kind of the historicals, some kind of pools are more stable than others. Obviously, the pools with more depth, more liquidity are often a bit less volatile in terms of yield. But yeah, it's very similar to Uniswap v3 in the sense that even retail users, not this is, the product isn't made for just institutional market makers, right? Anyone who's sees an opportunity to chase a yield by providing liquidity can with just a few clicks of a button.
Yeah, that's really powerful. Um, so I'm curious, since we already started talking about this, how are you guys approaching NFT trading, especially since profile pictures and NFTs, like all that seems to be a really big focus for Polygon right now? Like, what is your approach to that?
Yeah, so NFTs are interesting. I mean, I'm a big NFT collector myself. I'm not as active as I used to be. I got really into NFTs, during like the NFT boom last year. I probably spent way too much time on Twitter and Discord trying to find the next alpha, find the next mint and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, NFTs are like this gateway for mainstream users into crypto, right? I think it's super exciting that like just using Polygon as an example, like what you guys have done with the Reddit NFTs, and you guys are working with these like Fortune 500 brands to launch NFTs, and it's almost like yeah, this like educational gateway into Web3 in general. And so I think it's great to be able to hold and speculate on NFTs, but the reality is if NFTs are going to grow as a more a more robust asset class, you really need to enable users to take both sides of the trade, right? So I think historically, if you liked an NFT project, you would look at it and you say, "Hey, I like this. I'll buy it and I'll hold it." You're essentially, it's like you're trading spot, right? You're holding it, you're taking a long position when you hold it, and then when you sell it, you can, offload it. But the reality is, like, if you want more market depth and liquidity, you need to have more complex financial products, right? Like derivatives to enable not only retail users, but even like institutional players to take the other side of the trade. Meaning, if I'm not sure if you guys have ever felt this way, but sometimes I come across certain NFT projects, and I don't want to name like some of the top ones that have a lot of fun around them, but I always think, I wish there was a way for me to take a short position, right? I wish there was a way for me to bet against this NFT project, it allows me to express my views, and it allows the market to express their views, but it also creates, profit opportunities for me. But it is also a way to hedge risk, right? If I feel like I have too much exposure on, let's say I'm a Bored Apes holder, and I feel like I'm a bit overexposed, but I don't necessarily want to sell, right? I can always open some short positions against, hypothetically, I can open some short positions and against Bored Apes and hedge some of the downside risk in the chance that the market starts turning and the Bored Ape starts dipping, right? So that's really the idea behind NFT futures. It's not just about like making a quick buck on a market downturn in NFTs, but it's also about like how do we provide these financial tools to allow people to make more use of the asset, to cover risk, hedge their risk, and do more kind of thoughtful trades.
Yeah, that's incredible. I've never thought about it from that lens. And I think it's really exciting to have more DeFi products that are integrating NFTs or like DeFi built on top of NFTs. That's awesome. By the way, guys, I want to mention if you have any questions for Markle, please drop them in the text channel and I'll make sure they get asked. Also, Markle, if you want to showcase how anything works, you're more than welcome to share your screen and demonstrate anything. Um, One thing I'm curious about is, this is just always an important question to ask is about the security of the protocol. Like, have you guys ever got any audits done? Do you have a bounty program? What do you have in place to keep users safe?
Oh, of course. So safety is obviously, especially in DeFi, safety is paramount, right? One of the things I think that sets us apart from some of the other DeFi projects that we see in the space is, we're not just like a group of crypto native folk who decided we were going to build a trading platform. Our founding team actually comes from a very diverse background across, traditional finance. Like they were traders at major investment banks like Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, Nomura. So they really understand like trading mechanics. They understand what risk controls are needed to ensure, the safety of the platform, but also the safety of user assets, right? I think this is important to point out because one of the things that gets overlooked when people get too excited about innovation is abandoning the incumbent strategies a bit too quick. So, a good example of this is, well, what I mean by this is, when we say, oh, we want to do away with TradFi because TradFi has historically not worked for the masses. It's not transparent, it's, not accessible. Like a lot of users in around the world are underserved by a lot of the financial institutions that kind of rule this space, right? And of course, we do want to change that, right? The the ambitions of DeFi is to flip a lot of that to make it more accessible, to make it more transparent, to make sure people have access to all the products they need to have kind of financial stability, right? Or financial opportunity. But that doesn't mean we need to abandon everything about TradFi. TradFi has been around for, centuries and centuries and centuries, right? And so in the process, they've kind of refined some of the risk management controls, especially in recent years, to protect users, to protect the consumer. And so these are some of the things that we've kind of built into the core of our product, especially with our team coming from that background. So what that means for us is we've designed our platform to be, you know, um, the most robust trading platform with proper risk management controls, right? Of course, as a DeFi project, we have all of our smart contracts audited. So to give an example, V1 has been audited by two different audit firms. If you want to see the results, you can go on our site. You know what? Let me just share the homepage so I can kind of just walk you guys through some of the stuff. Let me see if you guys see my screen.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Just loading it in right now. All right, everybody tune in on the screen share.
Okay, so this is just, if you go to synfutures.com, sorry, this is your general landing page. If you go to the resources page, we have our V1 audit report here. So you can click that. You get all of the information about our latest audit for V1. I think this kind of transparency is, a norm in DeFi and in crypto in general. And so to answer your question, yes, all of our smart contracts get audited by multiple firms. Even with V2 right now, we're undergoing audits and we'll publish those reports as they come out. Yeah, sorry, my throat's a little dry today.
No problem. Hope you're not getting sick.
I hope so too.
I'm trying to get that link for the V2 closed alpha, um, but I'm already signed up for it, so I had to open it in a new browser.
Okay, while we're here, maybe if you guys still see my screen, I can just kind of go through some of the main tabs here. So like I mentioned, products, we have crypto futures, which is what you see on V1, V2, and futures, which is actually coming out very soon. So we just released the sign up forms for NFT futures. That product is actually going to go live in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to go live in closed alpha first. So I think it's important for everyone to sign up. We're going to start whitelisting addresses in the order that they come. So the sooner the better. And we're going to roll out some really fun campaigns for these NFT trades. That's going to come with certain rewards. Could be NFT rewards. Could be some small USDC rewards. So make sure you sign up and stay up to date. Within a couple weeks, you'll be able to short all the NFTs you want, short punks, short board apes, whatever you want to, short. I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but you can. Um, Part of SynFutures, what we want to do is we want to help onboard users for the long term. And so we have our own kind of SynFutures Academy. It really kind of breaks down the trading basics, the basics of Web3. But then we also go into some details that are very relevant to trading on our platform, like what is impermanent loss, right? Like I mentioned, like you mentioned, like you brought up, what is the risk for liquidity providers, retail liquidity providers? And the biggest risk is impermanent loss. And so we go into that in detail in some of the articles that we provide. Um, we have an analytics page. So this is our Dune dashboard. It's public for everyone. You can kind of track some of our progress here. All on chain. So everything's transparent. You could see what our daily trading volume is, what our user base looks like, how many people are trading on the platform at, any given week and so forth. And then, yeah, the last tab I was at, the resources. So we have an FAQ there. You can check out our white papers and tech papers for both V2 and V1.
Sweet. And I have dropped the type form to sign up for the closed alpha of SynFutures V2. We got a question coming in from Crypto for Eva. I love your name, by the way. Their question is, how will the NFT futures be done? Can you please give an example? Which price will be used for the mark price? Will it be the floor price?
Yeah, so we're actually going to use the fractionalized token price. So to give an example, the Punk token, it'll be the spot price. It'll be indexed against the spot price for the fractionalized NFT.
Okay, that's interesting. So, I'm curious. Would you be say someone wanted to set something up for like a board ape? How would could you like walk us through the process of how that would work?
Yeah, so it would be similar. So in the beginning, it's not going to be fully permissionless during the closed alpha phase. The team is going to look at the market liquidity for the NFT, the depth, et cetera, and decide which ones get listed first. But essentially, any fractionalized collection can be supported on our new NFT futures product. Like I mentioned, as long as we have a reliable price feed for it, whether it be through Chainlink or one of the major um, spot dexes or even like NFT platforms.
Okay, and what could you elaborate on what you mean by fractionalized?
Yeah, so people take what's become popular over like the NFT bull market is NFTs. Some collections are just have become less accessible to your average retail trader, right? Like not everyone can afford to buy a CryptoPunk outright. So what people have started doing is they've fractionalized it into tokens, right? So to give an example, maybe they'll take CryptoPunk number 500 and fractionalize it into a thousand shares or a thousand tokens, right? So you own this fractional share, and these shares are then traded in a marketplace, on in an exchange. We're able to take that and create a futures market out of it.
Right, that makes sense. That's really cool. Okay, we got another question coming in. Um, Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Um, Someone's wondering, when will we finish the closed alpha and officially launch V2 and NF features?
Yeah, so V2 closed alpha, it's still an ongoing process. I think we plan to kind of roll it out fully within the next couple of months. We just want to make sure everything's kind of working smoothly. Um, we're still taking feedback from the general community on things like UX, UI. Um, so I would say you can expect that within the next couple months. And then for the end futures products, we're just now getting ready for closed alpha within the next couple weeks. So it's still tough to say, when the product will be fully ready. But I will say within the next couple weeks, the platform will be live and enable people to take long and short positions. It may be limited at first, like how much you could trade. But yeah, you'll be able to trade live within the next couple of weeks. And then, as we kind of closely monitor the trading activity, the risk and everything, we will continue to roll out more collections and eventually do like a full public launch.
Fantastic. Yeah, it can definitely be hard to put a definite time frame on things. Um, One thing I'm curious about, could you please highlight what the major differences are between V1 and V2?
Sure. By the way, when I share my screen, if I switch tabs, are you guys able to see it? So right now I'm going into V1. Are you guys able to see it?
Yep,
Okay, great, great. So I think this is just visually speaking, this is a great way to kind of show you guys what V1 looks like, some of the features that it has, and then talk about the differences between V1 and V2. So V1 to us was a very it's our MVP, right? MVP meaning minimally viable product. It's a very like bare bones kind of, it's fully functional, like meaning people are trading tens of millions dollar tens and millions of dollars worth of trading volume per day on it. But the interface I think is simplified, right? And part of this was intentional. I mentioned before that we took a lot of inspiration from Uniswap. And one of the things that we looked at was the user interface and the user experience. And we thought one of the things that Uniswap and some of these other spot dexes did really well is they created a very simple product that anyone could use, right? And simplicity is key when you're trying to onboard new users. The thinking we had when we were designing this product was the derivatives markets can feel a bit complex for people. It's a little bit intimidating, right? Like there's so many users coming into crypto through NFTs, through your standard centralized, exchanges like Coinbase, which are incredibly easy to use. Now, when they go to the DEX space, it starts getting a little more complicated because you have to create a wallet, you have to connect and sign transactions and things like that. But beyond that, I think when people start moving from spot markets into derivatives markets to create new arbitrage opportunities to hedge their risk on their positions or whatever it is, it can get a bit intimidating. So if you look at some of the other decentralized derivatives exchanges out there, or just derivatives exchanges in general, they kind of look like very professional grade products with maybe too much information for the average user, right? And so I think that's a little off-putting for the mainstream audience. We wanted to create a product that, like what you see here, that's extremely simple to use. So from here, I can kind of go through the different base assets. I could say, hey, I want to trade Matic. My quote price, I want it to be either USDC or wrapped ETH, and then I can set a maturity date here. And the maturity date is important to note because we're one of the only decentralized derivative exchanges that allow for term futures. Term futures just means they're dated futures, so they have these expiry dates, right? So I can take a position that expires March 31st in the future, and then I can take a long position, take a short position. I enter my kind of margin. I can choose my different leverage. We do up to 10x leverage. And all you have to do is deposit and then make the trade, right? Um, the pool here, I'm not connected to my main wallet because I'm traveling right now and I don't have my keys. But basically, the pool here is you can add liquidity to any kind of pool that's available on the platform. But if you want more, this is where like the permissionless listings come into place, right? You just add the token address. You'll have the option to be the first liquidity provider into that pool, and you would have created that market. And this is all done within 30 seconds, right? So you'll have your full listing of pools here to see how they're performing. Your account page will give you all your balances, and then your history will give you the history of your trades. So going back to V1, I think we opted for like this simple experience. In my opinion, I think the design is, it's not amazing, right? It's just very functional. And it's a perfectly working product. Where V1 is limited though is we initially only allowed for term futures, dated futures. So if you wanted perpetuals, we weren't able to provide that in V1. So now I'll go to V2. This is V2 closed alpha, and I'll just give you guys a quick look at what it looks like. So we've really reimagined the interface. We've kind of kept it very simple. We've added this kind of homepage to show you all the different pairs that are live, the top gainers, trending, top APYs. There's like, we even added night mode here because we know the crypto community loves trading in the dark, trading in the late hours. Um, we even added an earn page where you're able to kind of, so these haven't been populated yet because this is a working version, but this is where all your kind of you're able to add liquidity to different pairs. This is where you can kind of check what all the yields are. And then you can go into your accounts page and you'll have all of your positions open here. Now, besides this like new user interface that's, I think it's comparable to some of the centralized exchanges out there in terms of how simple it is to use. The big difference with V2 from a user perspective is we now offer both dated and perpetual futures. So if you look here at this corner, I can just trade perpetuals, I can trade dated futures. And so I think there's a lot more kind of flexibility in what and how you can trade.
Fantastic. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a dark mode maxi, so I'm a big fan of this UI. It looks amazing. And I want to point out the ghost pairing there because I know there's a few Avagachis in this call right now. So that's really great to see. And then we had a question coming in from um, someone in the chat. They're wondering, as much as you recognize the importance of the NFT market, the current interest in NFT seems to have a lot of influence on the public. Do you have any plans to hold an event in collaboration with other large NFT groups in the future? These events are expected to have a positive impact on the growth of SynFutures. And yeah, I love your question. I'm also curious, like, are there any like NFT projects that you're specifically focused on or really interested in partnering with?
Yeah, and at this stage, we've been talking to mostly NFT platforms. So to give an example, where we talked to NFTX, we talked to fractional.art. Some of the more like because we want to make sure we have like the infrastructure in place, we connect to the right oracles, we get the right price feeds. But yeah, eventually we do want to work very closely with some of the top NFT projects, like the blue chip NFT projects to start with, just because they have the most liquidity in the market. I think in order for this product to work, it has to be a fairly active market for the NFT. But we 100% want to partner directly with some of these NFT IP brands to ensure that they get proper representation. I mean, I don't want to, I've actually had conversations with a top 10 NFT blue chip project, and they were super excited about the idea of derivatives, right? Because they really felt like it would bring more, not only more interest to their project, but also more liquidity for their NFTs, right? The idea of being able to take leverage long and leverage short positions on NFT really changes the dynamics of the NFT market, trading market.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm not familiar with anyone else doing anything what you guys are doing, but I know it's like definitely a very popular concept ever, especially ever since the implosion of FTX. I'm curious, do you have any competitors, and what helps SynFutures to stand out? What are your competitive advantages?
Yeah. So I don't think I've seen any direct competitors in the perp space, right? So perpetuals, but I have seen a couple of like NFT options products, which are quite interesting. I mean, it doesn't seem like any of them have any real traction at the moment, but what I find to be like a major difference is I think these teams are building an NFT trading platform, derivatives trading platform from the ground up, which is great. I think it's a large undertaking, and we certainly need more players in the space because like we do want to facilitate these kind of trades overall for the community, right? The difference for us, though, is this is just, NFT futures is an extension of a proven platform, right? Like we've been on the market for the product has been our SynFutures trading product has been live for 15 months. We've processed, over $17 billion in transactions to date. And so we know that we have this really robust infrastructure to support any kind of asset, which includes NFTs. So I think it's just in terms of proven success, we're able to kind of back that up because our NFT futures product is really an extension of our derivatives trading product.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's incredible. Another thing I'm curious about is, do you guys generate revenue, and if so, how do you generate revenue?
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's a good question. And it made me remember that I forgot to answer the second part of your question. You asked, how do liquidity providers get incentivized, right? Because, the reality right now is we don't have our own native token yet. So we haven't launched a token yet. We don't run like liquidity mining campaigns or anything like that. We don't do any incentivized trading. And so all of the traction we've gotten so far is really just people wanting to trade on the platform, which is something that we're really proud of and that we're really excited about. But in terms of like the trading fees, so liquidity providers on our platform take most of our trading fees, right? So I think about just roughly 85% of our trading fees right now go back to all of our liquidity providers. The rest goes into our kind of insurance fund, and the fees generated on our platform are your typical trading fees. So for every trade that users make, they pay just a tiny fraction of that amount uh, as a trading fee, and that gets kind of, again, that gets distributed mostly to the liquidity providers at this moment.
Awesome, that's great to know. Um, by the way, guys, if you have any questions for Markle while we are lucky enough to have him here today, please just drop them in the text channel. I'll make sure they get asked. Um, I'm curious, Markle, can you well, I guess you've already shared a lot of insight and alpha regarding V2. Is there anything else on the roadmap or goals for the future that you can shine a light on?
Yeah, so I think the major thing is the release of NFT features. It's something that we're focused on. Um, maybe I'll give you guys like a quick look at what it. This isn't the final product, right, by far. But the I think the idea here is it's going to be extremely simplified. You're just going to be. We opted to do like a Tinder-like interface, and it goes back to kind of our reasoning for simplifying products where we can. We think your average NFT collector isn't like a professional crypto trader, right? So we're thinking about what are some ways to like really gamify the NFT trading experience for derivatives. And we thought, why don't we take inspiration from Tinder? You like or dislike an NFT to take a position on it, right? So if you dislike it, you're essentially shorting it, and if you like it, you're taking a long position on it. And so I think that really helps kind of gamify the experience and gives users like a new way to trade, but also helps bring like more people into the space. So that's kind of like the ultimate goal for an NFT futures product. And then coming up, so it's still a little early to talk about, but because we're only in closed alpha with V2, but we are actively working on V3. Our developers are hard at work bringing some really exciting features to V3 that I think is really going to shift the paradigm of what you expect from a decentralized exchange. It's something that I think we'll start releasing more details in the coming weeks about some of the major changes that could come for our product and for just the DeFi ecosystem in general. But yeah, those are the kind of main events this year. We're going to put out some information about our 2023 roadmap within the next week or so. And so, if you guys are interested in following, make sure to follow us in Futures on Twitter, on Discord, and all of the different channels. We're constantly running different kind of community competitions, trading contests, and all of that to really kind of engage our users. Even fun things like quizzes, um, just to really get people more engaged and more involved. And we're constantly looking for community participation. So that includes suggestions on different features, UI, UX, or even marketing, right? So, like, one of the things we've been focusing on in the last year is recruiting from within our community, right? So, several of our team members come directly from our community. They started off as community members. They moved up to ambassadors, moderators, and now some of them are even like full-time staff members on SynFutures. And so, yeah, we're going to continue expanding that program. Would love to kind of speak with anyone who wants to get more involved. So yeah.
That's great to hear, and that's actually one of the questions I had for you is how can people get involved? So it's great to hear that there's so many different ways for people to get involved with SynFutures. I just dropped all the links to their socials in the chat, so go follow them on Twitter and then jump in the Telegram and Discord. Um, June and Nestor both have some great questions. I'll start with Nestor. He's wondering, do you provide charts? Will the NFT futures for specific NFTs be charted, or will the historic prices be available?
Yeah, so in the first version of the closed alpha product, we won't offer advanced analytics of any kind. And, that's a little intentional to start just because we want to just provide a simple experience, right? It's in the very core of it should be, does the user believe in this NFT or not? And are they willing to take a bet against a bet aligning with their view, right? In the future, we may create a more robust product, but yeah, I think we're gonna have to wait and see what the demand and appetite is for more advanced features like that.
Okay, that's good to know it's on the roadmap. And then June is wondering, celebrating the opening of NFT future. Do you have any events planned to promote it?
We do. So we're not releasing the details yet because we want it to be a bit of a surprise for the community, but we're gonna have some real, I mentioned earlier, we're gonna have some really fun like NFT trading competitions. Like I think the difference between this and SynFutures core product is NFT features that we want to have a little more fun with. Like NFTs are a medium for creativity, so we want to get a little more creative, have a little fun with it, while still kind of helping inform users of like the power of like derivatives products in general.
One thing I haven't asked, and this is like a very generic question I typically always ask, is when token. Just because people love that question. Do you have any plans for a token? Why or why not? And if so, like what would the utility of the token be?
Yeah, that's still something that we're working out. I mean, so we do plan to eventually release a token, right? But we want to get all of the token economics and all of this right because what we've seen is when projects rush to launch their tokens without giving enough thought to what the implications could be, sometimes it could hurt not only the project but the community. And so we're looking for a very fair and balanced way to introduce tokens in the future. What that's going to be, we've yet to kind of finalize the details. But I think as soon as we kind of have a definite, a final date, we'll definitely release as much information as we can.
Awesome, awesome. Um,
I will say, in the meantime, your best bet at kind of hacking some of the rewards is just get involved in our competitions, especially our trading contests. Reward what a little bit of alpha for the Polygon community, but our trading contests will reward the most valuable NFTs. I mean, we don't say that outright right now, but I think you'll see that we'll look to give NFTs that come from trading competitions the most utility and the most benefits in the future.
Awesome. I really appreciate having you here today, Markle, and sharing so much alpha with the Polygon community. I'm curious, since we are running up on time, is there anything that you wanted to cover today that we haven't already covered?
No, I think this has all been pretty great. I just wanted to drop a link. It's our tutorial of how to trade on our V2. It's a really comprehensive walkthrough. It's a playlist of different videos that'll show you exactly how to open a position, how to close a position, how to add liquidity, and so forth. So for anyone who's kind of signing up to V2 Closed Alpha, who's looking to get started, I think this link will have the best kind of tutorial on how you can trade on the platform.
Awesome. And I've just dropped the closed alpha sign up form in the chat as well. So make sure you sign up for that if you're wanting to test out SynFutures V2 early. And I've also dropped a pull up form for everyone. So if you're interested in a proof of attendance protocol NFT, just put your wallet address into that form. And what that is just a simple NFT to commemorate your attendance here today. Um, and yeah, I think this has been really informative. I learned a lot. I really enjoyed this. I'm really grateful to have you here today. Thank you again, Markle, for doing this. And thank you, everyone, for attending this. Um, yeah, I guess we're pretty good to
Great.
wrap.
Yeah. Was happy to be here. Thanks again for having me. And yeah, I look forward to not only working more with the Polygon team, but also, connecting with the Polygon community to answer any questions they have. Feel free to ping me on Twitter, tag me whenever you guys need anything.
Awesome. Yeah, and feel free to drop your Twitter link in the chat as well.
Oh yeah, let me do that now. Cool. I think as we get new alpha on different products, I'll be releasing them on my Twitter first. Uh, but also, if you guys need to reach me, just tag me in a Twitter post, and I'll be sure to get to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. It was great meeting you. And um, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful day. All right. Bye now, everyone.
Take care.